Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of the Kindr3d Kountdown podcast. I'm your host, Kay and Chippy. In this episode, we're going to go over Call of Duty news, Cyberpunk news, and other games. Then we'll take a look at some of the upcoming KN events, some community announcements, and then to wrap everything all up, we're going to look at a couple of the NFL teams for the 2020 season. Before we get started, I want to thank you guys for making the community an amazing place to be. Since August, when we started Kindred Nations, we've grown so much. And without you guys, there would be no Kindred Nations. The board of directors, quite frankly, we are excited to see where the community goes from here. And if we didn't have you guys, as I said, there would be no KN. There would just be, 5 or 6 people twiddling their thumbs, not knowing what to do. But because of you guys make it worthwhile to be here. And we greatly appreciate you all. So, that being said, let's get right into it. First thing I have here is Call of Duty, and specifically Warzone. Not so much Cold War, but mostly Warzone. So, there's a new meta in Warzone. It's not the assault rifles, shotguns, or snipers. It is the Diamati, which is a 3-round burst pistol, and the DMR. The DMR is like the cousin to the M14 EBR, like an older version of it. And the Diamati is it's the older cousin to the Renetti. It's like a M9 Beretta with, upgraded firing pin, I guess, and trigger attachment. But these guns aren't hard to level up at all. You can run these weapons in Modern Warfare multiplayer. Same with Cold War. And you can even level these guns up in zombies too, and you keep these levels. And as you level these guns up, more and more attachments become available, and sometimes these attachments make the gun ungodly powerful. And it's just insane. So the DMR, as I said, is the bulkier but older version of the M14. It hits like a truck with the right attachments. The gun, the base power is moderately high, and with no attachments, you can knock down enemies with 1 to 2 hits. But with the right attachments, you might be able to get 1 hit if you're lucky. And a lot of people are dying to the DMR, and they keep losing their mind. They keep breaking things because the guy that killed them is using the DMR. Another reason that the gun doesn't really sit well with the community is the fact that we already have an M14. The DMR 14 is just the older version of the M14. We already have one. We don't need replicas of guns. Like, we have a Cold War AK-47 and we have a Modern Warfare AK-47. We don't need 2. We only need 1. So, Activision should have thought about that before releasing this update. They should have taken all the duplicate guns and, taken the better version of it and put it in the game. And then nerfed it if it was too good. The Diamati is, as I said, is like the Renetti, but it's a 3-round burst with a trigger attachment to it. If you hit your shots, you can down people in 3 bursts if you're lucky. But if you have, ridiculous attachments for it, you can down some of your enemies in 1 burst, maybe 2 bursts if you hit them in the right spot. and it's just it's insane. It's like you're shooting a 45 Magnum, but with 3-round burst. Like it's uncalled for. So Warzone players have been using these two guns. After it went viral on TikTok and everything, and everybody's like, "Oh, the DMR is the best gun. The Diamatti is the best gun." They've been using that gun since 2 weeks. They've been using that gun for 2 weeks, and it's still not slowing down. And nobody's calling for a nerf except for these guys who don't follow the meta. And Activision's probably not going to release a nerf until it's too late. So it's just, at the end of the day, those two guns are at the top of the list that you need to use. And if you aren't using it, you're probably not going to get a game win in at all. Also, with the update, they added a new map for Warzone called Rebirth Island. It's really small. So take the surface area of Alcatraz prison, off the coast of San Francisco. It's basically like that. It's modeled after Alcatraz. And when you have 45 people dropping in a prison area, it gets a little bit too crowded. So when you drop in regular Warzone, you have time to get your loadout, you have time to get settled, and you have time to, pick off any people who came with you. But in Rebirth Island, within the first minute and a half to 2 minutes, half of the player base in that game already shot down, already done, already eliminated. So you go from 45 people to 20. So basically you lose, out of 15 squads, you lose roughly, I don't want to say 5 or 6 squads, which is insane. It is an insane amount of, I want to say, it's tough to describe it. I just, it's just too fast-paced, and it's too crowded. And, if you want to go for a challenge, go for it. Be my guest. Play it, just keep in mind that the wins aren't impossible, but they are extremely hard. Because your chances are is that every single time that you drop in, somebody's going to be right behind you. Or you're going to get shot out of the sky, regardless of where you are. So, yeah, I personally don't like it. I'd rather play regular Warzone. Moving on to Cyberpunk, Keanu Reeves was the poster boy for the game. And you know him from Matrix, John Wick. But now he is Johnny Silverhand in Cyberpunk 2077. And he basically helps you take over Night City. However, since the release of the game, there's been a lot of glitches and console performance issues. For current generation consoles like the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4, and the PlayStation 5 has even been getting a lot of issues with the game. However, the Series X from Xbox and the Series S, they don't seem phased by it at all. A lot of the Xbox players are enjoying the game more. The game is still available on the Xbox Store, but Sony took it off the PlayStation Store because of the amount of issues that players were reporting to the company. There were reports that Sony was refusing to issue refunds until their own refund policy caught up with them, because they bought the game, 36 hours after it was released. And, these players were unhappy. So the only thing that I could really say that, that brought out on these issues was the fact that these players, these fans, forced the developing company to move their game a release date up. Not back, but up. So if I had a release date set for December 31st, and fans weren't happy because we're taking too long to create the game, they could force us. Basically, they could get angry with us and make us move our release date forward. So instead of it being on the 31st, it would be, let's say November 10th or December 10th. And that actually cuts down the amount of time that a game developer has to work out any kinks in the game. And these fans who are so excited, to have another CD Projekt Red game, they were so excited. They gave them literally no time to finish the game at all. They were upset that they had to wait until the end of December or, early of 2021. So they sent death threats to CD Projekt Red. They sent, death threats to individual company employees, and they basically peer pressured them into making the game without testing its capabilities or the features, and then isolating issues and then fixing them. It's like the same thing with the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. A lot of these fans were basically upset because they thought that Sonic didn't look like what Sonic was supposed to look like. And they were right. However, they wasted the animators' time, money, to create these renders of this specific character. And it costs a lot of money to make these characters. It's not cheap. And, at the end of the day, when the movie was originally released, the Sonic Hedgehog that we know and love today, with his iconic red shoes, his iconic white gloves, that's the end product. The animators were fine with it because they agreed. They understood why the fans were upset. And CD Projekt Red, they understood where the fans were coming from with Cyberpunk. However, they had zero time to fix any issues that were there. So they basically were forced by gamers to release an unfinished project. When you release an unfinished project, the performance of the game, not only in sales, but in-game content, rely on how well your work is. And I feel as if CD Projekt Red was forced to hand in an unfinished project, not by the deadline, not by, the publishing company, but by the fans. And personally, that's kind of disrespectful, because they wasted the time of the CDPR team for this game. They had so much work ahead of them, but they had to throw that off to the side and make them updates so fans can play the game early. And in my opinion, I find that really disrespectful. These guys put a lot of time and effort into their work, into the games that we play, and they spend a lot of time away from their families, and they pump out video games that the games that they pump out basically pay their paycheck. And if they don't do their job properly because of existing bugs, or the game isn't rendering like it was advertised, then they can be potentially out of a job, or their pay gets cut. So as a gamer, I'm honestly disgusted that the fan base basically force the hand of CDPR to release an unfinished game. You should not be doing that to a company at all. You know, you guys, like these guys, they work countless hours to create the game to be as flawless as it can be for the enjoyment of their customers and the consumers. Yet they couldn't, because they were forced to move it. They were forced to move the release date forward and had no time to fix these issues properly. And there's memes going around saying that, CDPR says that the game never was in development at all and everything, and it's upsetting to see that stuff, because the fans who say that they support these guys, they don't realize that they were the ones who made them release the game unfinished, with all these bugs and glitches and, the rendering issues and, console performance issues. They don't realize that. They didn't own up to their mistakes, and they're blaming it on the developers because of their work. And it's unacceptable, quite frankly. It is very unacceptable to see a company put so much time and effort into a game just to have the entire world ridicule them after. There's a saying in my family. It says, patience shows the true character of a person. And clearly, the patience of these so-called fans define these people's characters as impatient, demanding, obsessive, and disrespectful. I'm at a loss for words, and I'd like to apologize to CD Projekt Red, because of the actions of other people. I appreciate the company for putting out this game, even with the issues that it has. And I appreciate the fact that they're owning up to the issues with the game, and that they're pumping out updates for the game to make it better. And I just want to apologize to the company for how disrespected they were by the rest of the gaming community around the world, that is, not kindred nations. I know, gaming community is a singular term for, one community or a bunch of others, but I mean, it's the rest of the world that I'm disappointed in, because they chose to disrespect the company. Alright, let's move on. So, a little bit of the events that were going on here. They're going to be starting really quick. The podcast is actually one of them. Every 2 weeks, Chippy or myself will be sitting down with a member of the community. It doesn't matter what rank they are. They could be a private, they could be master sergeant, they could be board of directors, they could be a captain. We'll have them join us on the podcast every 2 weeks, and we'll go over some news like we did, like I did earlier with Call of Duty and Cyberpunk and everything. And I'll have questions for them for an interview, like who they are, when they join the community and everything, and what they'd like to see. And we'd also like to, ask some questions that you guys might have too. Not everybody has the same view as, everybody else, and that's okay. And it's nice to see the opinions and thoughts of other things by other people. And these podcasts will be always uploaded to the YouTube channel. As I said, every 2 weeks, we'll be recording the episodes. We'll be asking your questions and everything. And then when the video is out, you will be notified in the Kindr3d Nations channel, the Streamy Links channel. It'll tag you and notify you that a new video has been posted to the YouTube channel. One other thing that we're going to be doing is gun crowns. It's new, kind of. It has been utilized in other communities like KSI, XGN, and everything. But this is going to be a little bit different. So the Ultimate Fighting Championship, or the UFC, they use a fighter ranking system. So the new prospects of the Fighting Championship, they are given a non-ranked title. So they don't have, they're not number 2 in the world for the bantamweight division or number 1 in the world for the middleweight division. They're not ranked on the list at all. So what Gun Crowns is that we're going to take the weapon classes, so like assault rifles, submachine guns, and so forth down the line. We're going to be creating them as their own respective division. So if you wanted to get a assault rifle mastery, you'd go an M4 versus a Grau, or an M4 versus the Odin. And, that's exactly what it is. It is a mastery challenge for the members within the community. There is going to be 2 leagues, one for Cold War and one for Modern Warfare, because, some people might have Cold War but not Modern Warfare, or the other way around. So we're trying to make this as inclusive as we can for every single member that we have. Next week on episode 2, the next episode, we'll be going more in depth into gun crowns, and more information will be released there. So stay tuned for that. This week we chose department heads for the graphics, Twitch channel, and news team as of now. So Kay and Miss Marvel, she has she's just graduated from graphic arts design school. She is a video game designer, and I asked her the other day, I said, hey, would you mind taking over the graphics art? And she was excited. She immediately said yes. There was no hesitation at all. So she's the new department head over there. Kindr3d Kountdown, she is she's a sibling member of Zeus. Yeah, you guys know him. She does streaming, and she was actually on the path to becoming a partner with Mixer before it shut down. Queen is taking over the Twitch channel. She'll be doing the designs for there, the schedules for the streams and everything, and she'll even be streaming some events on her channel, be it a New Year's party or, maybe even board of directors versus the members or some other thing, division staff versus board. It doesn't matter. She'll be streaming a lot of the events. She also has a team behind her. Same with graphics with Miss Marvel. Each of these departments have a team to make things run as smoothly as we possibly can. VJack007 is the news team director. His role is actually the leader of the news team. Every month, the news team releases a newsletter to the community. So these newsletters, they feature the members of the week. They have interviews with random members. They have interviews with the board of directors and everything, and they also have a little bit of insight of everything going around in the real world. VJack has done a tremendous job conducting his team, getting projects in on time with deadlines and everything, and they look good. They look amazing. And these three have been prominent within their respective sections and everything and departments, and they were chosen by their peers too. I've asked them, hey, who do you want to be the Twitch? Who do you want to have as the Twitch team lead, the news team lead, or the graphics lead? And these three people, their names came up more than anybody else. So these three have been chosen to be the respective department heads. So I just want to congratulate you three. I'm excited to see what you guys can do for the community with your respective departments. And I hope you guys can help us grow more than we do, or more than we have in the future. This week, the competitive teams have 3 games in the Selects Competitive League. Unfortunately, these games will not be streamed, but it doesn't stop you from cheering the team on at all. I could tell you that the competitive team appreciates the support that you guys have given them throughout the season. We're also looking for new players for the teams. If you're interested, Kindr3d is the team captain for North America, and Shereshot is the team captain for Europe. So if you're in North America and you want to play competitive, message Reed, and if you're in the European area, message Shereshot for more info. We're always looking to expand our teams. On the 6th of January, starting from the 6th, every Wednesday, the Kindr Nation stream team will be hosting a raid party on Twitch. Twitch is a big part of the life of gamers. You can watch walkthroughs, you can look, they have cooking channels and everything. And some people just are there to support their friends. And that's what we want to do. We want to support the people that follow us and that we follow on Twitch. Every Wednesday after each stream, we'll be choosing a random person on our follow list to make their night. So if you'd like to participate every Wednesday, it is on the Kindr Nations channel. We will select a follower or a channel that we follow at random every time to raid every Wednesday. You don't have to be there. It's not an obligation, but it is greatly appreciated if you could be in attendance. So let's go to the NFL a little bit, just to wrap up the episode quick. So Pittsburgh Steelers, best team in the league, right? They were on a 11-win streak, with Juju Smith-Schuster and Chase Claypool. They have an unstoppable pass game with Big Ben in the backfield. They have James Conner as their running back. As I said, Claypool and Schuster, they're really good players, and they've been targeted a lot this season. But every undefeated team has a downfall sooner or later. And the first loss that the Steelers, suffered was against the Washington football team. Washington kicked, Pittsburgh's butt 23-17 at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. And, nobody thought anything of it because it was just Washington. It's one game. Steelers are going to bounce back. The week after, Buffalo Bills, they took over and they beat Steelers 26-15. Teams can have skids. They can have a winning streak or they can have a losing skid, and it's not uncommon for teams to do really bad or really good within the season. And with that being said, the Cincinnati Bengals were not expected to win the game at all. They were expected to lose by a considerable margin. But instead, the Bengals took the game by 10 points. The worst team in the NFL took the win from the Steelers. It's kind of surprising, I know. It's difficult to understand. But just like the Canadian Football League, no lead is safe. I could be up 10 points, but, I could lose. Take a look at Atlanta. They were up 28-3 at the second half, and they blew that lead, losing to New England in the Super Bowl. It happens. There's something, that it's something inevitable in every single game. Steelers did bounce back, though. They took their last game against the Colts. So their current record right now is 12-3. But on the 3rd of January, they go against Cleveland. In Cleveland? Yes, they're in Cleveland on the 3rd. So I'm not entirely sure if, I'm not entirely sure what the analyzers think of Cleveland versus Steelers. They might lean a little bit towards the Browns, but they also might lean towards the Steelers. Baltimore has had a kind of rough season. After having most of the starting lineup on all three sides of the ball, special teams, defense, and offense, they were all placed on the COVID reserve list, and they narrowly made it out of the first half of the season. Right now they're 10-5, and Lamar Jackson, and the rest of the team, they've been on fire for the past couple weeks. Mark Ingram, he's out, but they have J.K. Dobbins, which is a first-year player, and they also have Gus Edwards to fill the gap, where Mark left off. But they also have the combination of Jackson's speed, power, and accuracy in his throwing arm, and the hands of Mark Andrews, Marquise Brown, Miles Boykin, Willie Snead. They have all these good players on their team that they can utilize to win games. And if Baltimore keeps winning games, they will be a threat to the other teams in the league. They might be, they might have a chance at winning, the wild card if they, make it, and they could go all the way to the ball. They might win. It would be nice to see the Baltimore Ravens win. 100%. I would love to see that. But only time will tell. On Monday, the 28th, I believe, Washington football, the Washington football team, they just released a statement saying that they've released second-year quarterback Dwayne Haskins. So Haskins was drafted 15th overall by the team out of Ohio State. And as a Buckeye, he threw 590 passes for 413 completions. 5,396 yards, 59 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. And at this point, this kid's only been the starter for the Buckeyes since 2017. So he played, he was a redshirt for 2016, 2017, 18, he started. And that's where most of his promising, the reason why he was picked at 15 was based on his stats for those 2 years. But according to various reports and Ron Rivera himself from the Washington football team, Haskins was released because he failed to follow COVID-19 protocols, as well as he wasn't standing near team expectations on the field. So he was replaced by Alex Smith. You know him. He had that nasty leg injury at the beginning of last season. Kyle Allen and even Tyler Heineke. And those, Kyle Allen and Tyler Heineke, we don't know who they are. And they did way better than Dwayne Haskins. And Dwayne Haskins was a top 10 quarterback within the league before he was drafted. The last game that Haskins played, he had the worst rating in the league, and that was a 39.0 rating. So he had a lot of, like, I don't know how you can go so low from like a, from like, yeah. It's tough to understand the mindset of the quarterback like that, because one, it's tough to go from, a really good top, pick quarterback to a bust. And I mean, I feel bad for the kid, but you got to do what you have to do in order to grow as a player. And I put a little bit of the blame on the football team. They pushed Haskins a little bit too fast to become a starter for the team. He wasn't ready. They didn't, like Cleveland Browns, they didn't start Johnny Manziel right away. They conditioned him to take over that spot. Same with Lamar Jackson. When Joe Flacco was in town, Joe was the main guy to go to, but Lamar Jackson was the protege. He was learning, and he grew. And eventually Joe Flacco got hurt, and he was the next guy in. Dwayne Haskins did not have that potential yet, because it's the big leagues. So wherever Haskins goes, I hope that he has the best season, that he grows as a player, that he listens to protocols, that everything stays out of trouble, But I mean, in the NFL, man, you can't sit there and twiddle your thumbs thinking that you're gonna get by just to get a paycheck. Some of these guys are, your backup team, they're getting paid $950,000, a year, just to sit on the bench or wait for their opportunity to get in the game, or just to run one or two plays a game. That's the process of being a starter and a backup. You need to learn, and you need to adapt to the playbook that you're given, and you also need to follow the rules on the field and off the field. And if you can't do that, then you might as well just opt out of your contract for the year. So, as I said, best of luck to Dwayne Haskins. I would like to see him make a comeback at some point, but it's tough. It's tough to hope that that'll happen. With that being said, I went over everything in the episode today. I went through the Call of Duty news, community news, Cyberpunk a little bit. Talked about NFL, community events and everything. Not every episode's going to have community events, but we're going to try to be informative with the community a little bit more, trying to keep you guys up to date. So, with that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed this first episode of Kindr3d Kountdown, and we really appreciate you guys for coming out and hanging out with us for a little bit today, wherever you may be. So, next episode will be on the 16th of January, and as I said, we hope you guys have a great rest of the day, rest of your week, and from my family to yours and everywhere else, I hope that the holiday season was perfect for you guys. And we will see you in 2 weeks' time. Peace.